to start. Principal Douglas White. Chairman Marie Smith. The great faculty of Skagit Adventist Academy, family and friends. Parents of the graduating class. And my most favorite senior class of 2014. You picked me to do this. So you're going to have to brace yourself. Because I look at you, and inside get a little emotional. Not that those of you who were there last night don't think I can get outside emotional. But what begins to whirl inside of my head are memories. Some still shots, some videos. But the one that's coming into view right now is a video. The littlest Romney Corps has just realized that wearing basketball pants 3 sizes too large, she can make a break for it with a basketball half her size. She's on the hardwood in the corner, and she starts speeding up in the direction of the basket. She's making a large gap between not only the opponents, but also her own team. When she hits the top of the key and she postures in preparation for being hit from behind from the opponents, and she whips the ball into the air. I remember it clearly because about that time, off to the left of me and down a ways was her father. A cheer erupted from the entire auditorium when that basketball struck the rim and went in. I remember the dance. Here this little girl with these huge shorts was in the middle of the key, shocked and so thrilled she started to dance, and like I told you, the noise was intense, but not so intense that Rachel Brink could not be heard screaming, "That's the wrong basket." Inside my brain, and I pick another video. This one is of Kelsey Triplett. Kelsey, I don't know when it was, to be precise. I know someone who does, because Kelby's father broke his ankle in that particular outing. We were at the roller rink, and the announcer said, "It's now girls' skate time." And you were shuffling toward that skating rink. The gait that you were exercising, in my professional opinion, was the gait of the terrorized, terrified body. Being driven by a brain that was so piercingly focused on accomplishing a task, the legs had no choice. Because when you hit that particular rink floor and the music began to start, the only other person out there was Megan Phillips. I don't know whether it was your first year with us, but you were out there with such intense spirit. I watched the whole thing. I'm watching it now. You lapped her no less than 6 times, Megan. No less than 6 times, and I said to myself, how does Kelsey keep that composure? How do those legs stay up? And as I'm leaning against that railing, looking out as Kelsey's coming toward me, at the end of that particular one cycle, those eyes told it all. The legs didn't tell much difference, but those eyes told me you'd accomplished something. Kelsey, I've told you more than once, there have been times when I've been scared at my job and my life, and that focus, that concentration gave me energy. Thank you. The last video I'm going to share with you has the face filling up the entire screen. The twinkle in Daniel Bynum's eyes, the excitement in his eyes that they were serving us dessert at the top of the Space Needle was intense. But what is happening now in my video is that face is changing from excitement twinkle to somebody help me. I don't water they poured at the bottom of the ice cream that made this incredibly gorgeous fog. Now there were 5 foggers because Kelby was there, Quinn was there, Hans was there, and Laurel was there. And I don't know whether Daniel saw the fog. I don't know whether it was the clouds going by or the buildings going by, but what Daniel did see is in his entire meal leaving his face in the shape of a tube and hitting the floor and the table and the door and the chair. And Daniel, I grabbed your hand and we walked to the bathroom together. We cleaned you up and me up, put our arms around each other, and I'm walking back from that particular thing. We became a closer family. Phenomenal. There was nothing at all to tell he'd done that. That was one staff worth absolutely recognizing. It was clean. You guys, I have such incredibly wonderful memories. And some really scary bad ones. Meg in Hawaii. But with those excitements inside, I want to tell you that my heart aches, the ache of a heart, that realizes that time waits for no one and my little friends have all grown up. Before I go to hopefully a very rapid 3-point discussion with you, your very last lecture of your very last year in high school, I have one bit of business I need to take care of. Nathan Hobbiting, please come up here. Two and a half years ago, Hans asked me, would you be willing to do a worship talk for the school? And of course I said yes. Preparation for that as I was driving to work, I said, I've got the right concept. I'm going to do a worship talk on delayed gratification. I'm going to pick the right guy. I brought Nathan up there. And Jimmy. But I brought Nathan up there. I showed him a $20 bill. And I snapped it. And I said, Nathan, I will give you this $20 bill right now for doing absolutely nothing. You'd think this is what's working, but it's hit this. Sorry. That's the point. For doing absolutely nothing. Or you can wait 30 long months, 750 days of schoolwork till graduation, and I'll give you $200. And Nathan said, I'll be seeing you at graduation. We are all paid up. All right. And congratulations on the choice well selected. I lost out, but with that attitude, you will win. Now look at you guys. 7 of you that I've known since you didn't know I knew you. And I know. I know that the talent you have, the drive that you have, I know the God you serve leading your life. With the drive that I know you have, one thing I know for certain for your future. Kids, you will fail. You will fall flat on your face and fail. That's the truth. But I thought it would shock you. I looked at your aim and motto and y'all were dancing right all over that concept. Because this isn't the revised Greg version of what that guy actually said. The crime is not failure. The crime is setting a low aim because you're scared of failure. And your motto, you're not afraid of a ship sinking, not if you're going to go find a new ocean. This whole concept that you will fail is not news to you, but I'm going to tell you, it's a truth. My wife, as many of you know, is angelic. She's right there, wearing a mighty fine dress. But while she was training for that particular designation, you might not know she fancied herself as a prolific writer. In fact, she confessed to me that she would take 10 hymns and tape them together to accomplish the 1,000 words that the teacher would regularly give her, not words, sentences, that the teacher would regularly give her for discipline. I'm going to do it, honey. She never said she wouldn't come up with her words. Would you come up here and tell us that? Come on, kids, let's cheer her up. Oh, the mic, because she doesn't have mine. She needs it up.
Everybody makes mistakes. Fools repeat them. The weak excuse them. But only the wise admit and profit from them.
Thank you. You see, that teacher, her teacher that not only drilled it into her head, but drilled it into my head because she kept telling me that she had to write this. I need water. She had to write this, and look what happened when I bent over. By the way, did I mention you'd fail? That teacher knew. Did it go down again? Oh. I think it looks like a 90. That teacher knew that she would fail. It's how she handled that failure. Last year, President Obama, in making a speech at the Ohio State University, said this: "If you are living your life to the fullest, you will fail. You will stumble. You will screw up." His words. "You will fall down. But it will make you stronger, and you'll get it right the next time, or the time after that, or the time after that." He was attempting to tell those graduates that you will fail. My point number one today is that, kids, you're going to fail. But if you look at the last part of what he had to say in his statement, I want you to understand my point number two. Failing is training. I was laying in one of the most uncomfortable beds at Camp Minot. I was at a medical dental conference. I think I was either trying to sleep or trying to read journals and falling asleep, and it was so hot that I was laying in bed and I heard the same sequence of activities happening. Sounded like something was being shoved, and a noise, and a jump, and a click, and a grind, and I said to myself, it's happening so many times, I've got to see what in the world this is. And so I pushed the curtain aside, and what I saw was inspirational. This young man, clearly, was attempting to learn a skateboard trick. He would slide down a certain distance, he would get down crouched, and that's going to happen again. So he'd get down crouched, and he would jump up and do something weird with his foot, and he would twirl it sideways, and he'd land on the curb, and he'd go to slide, and he'd either hit his back, or he'd hit his front, and I witnessed no less than 5 times in a row he did the exact same thing, and one time landing so hard on his gut, it knocked the air out of him, and I thought I would have to go help him. And he finally pulled himself up, and he went to the top of that ramp, or whatever he was doing, and he did it again. The inspiration that I drew from Carson Lindell on that particular day, to this day, makes me say if he takes half of that and puts it into his life, that kid is going to win. Because Carson Lindell that day taught me that failing is training. Now, last night we heard Hans was a chess player, but what you didn't hear is that my dad fancied himself as a good chess player. He apparently learned it in the Army. Because as a child, he would tell me, Greg, get the chessboard and set her up. So I'd get all the pieces out on my side, and I'd put 4 out on his. They'd be the king, the queen, the rook, and the knight. And we'd do battle. And when I finally did win, 1 bishop was added. And it went all the way up until the time that I came home from Pacific Union College. It was a Christmas vacation. I'd been playing at PUC. And I told myself, oh, I'm not going to ask him. He's going to fall into this one. And he sure did. 3 times in a row, I beat him. I had failed until I prevailed. And in that game of chess, I learned that failing is training. I need water. Before I say that Hans had a whole lot shorter learning curve than I did before he beat his old man. However, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was playing a friend downstairs, and I saw so many pieces on her side of that chessboard that I was shocked. And I came down there to get a little treat because I could not believe what I was hearing. You sound like you were being worked over. And I was going up the stairs saying, what about it? And then he said, Dad, I didn't have all the pieces. Failing is training. I have a patient, last example, who came in one day to talk to me. And in the course of talking, and in the course of having patients that you see periodically for various conditions, we have developed a friendship. And I confessed to her that I had made some stupid business decision or had done something, and I was questioning my own sense of professional ability. She didn't say much. She listened. But 2 hours later, via email, she sent me this statement. 1 sentence. Good judgment comes from experience. And a lot of that comes from bad judgment. Again, learn the lesson. My point number 2, kids, is that failing is training. I now move to my very last point of your very last lecture. And I'm going to set it up like this. There are going to be times in your life when your failures are going to be epic. Even bolded, did you see that? They're going to be something that pains you to the core. You're going to hurt someone you love. You're going to have, oh, I'm stupid, written all over that failure. Something's going to happen deep inside of you. Something's going to happen that you may have already experienced. Something's going to happen inside of you that says, oh, you're going to pay for this one, idiot. And you're going to pull out a proverbial club, and you're going to start swinging on you. You're going to feel inside the hurt, the pain. You're going to feel inside the shame. Kids, when you make an epic failure, I want you to remember my last point, and that is I want you to stop hitting yourself. At Skagit Adventist Academy, we're a Christian school where it's deliberate, it's intentional, it's regular, it's believed that you are special to God. You are the child of a king. You're royalty. You are number 1 to the number 1. And that's big. Because when you fail, your epic failure, when you intentionally do something that is wrong, and you alone are responsible for that failure, I want you to remember this particular talk to you, and that I want you to stop hitting yourself. Am I on track with the slide? Okay, thank you. It's kind of hard to turn around. You're going to have well-meaning Christians come up to you and they're going to say, you know what? It is not that Christian to think of yourself that highly. And I want you to say deep in your heart, I am sorry for you. You may even take them aside and say, I need to remind you, the God of the universe sent his son to pay for me. I am a trophy. I am somebody to someone who knows my worst parts and loves me. And when you fail, an epic Jesus himself was asked one time, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And then he said, the second greatest commandment. And it's going to shock you. It's going to look a lot like service. It's going to look like love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor. But I want you to know something. Commandment number 1.5, commandment number right in the middle is something you need to remember. How much do you love your neighbor? Where do you even find out how much God wants you to love your neighbor? It's loving yourself. And there's going to be times in your life when you fail big time. You do something that you deserve to be called out on, and you will be. And when that happens, I want you to realize that when you pull out that club inside of you and start whacking on yourself, stop hitting yourself. But you guys, that's tough. That's tough. One Friday, after a very, very, very tough week, I was coming home, ready to be home, ready to experience Sabbath, ready to experience rest. And I came in the house, and I sat down on my favorite chair. Oh, I was ready to rest. Out of the corner of my eye, Laurel was coming toward me. Not just Laurel. Something was in Laurel's hand that pushed a button in me. And it was a stuffed animal. You'd think that would not be a crime until you'd see her room. If you visited Laurel's room when she was younger, you would say one thing. Oh, they're that kind of parent. Everything stuffed she got. It was amazing until one time I told my wife, no more. The foot is going to be put down, not another dime is going to be spent on a stuffed animal for that little girl. And she knew it. She was there. And she had the gall not only to get it, but to bring it to me. And she brought it to me, and I said, Laurel, you know I said not another stuffed animal. You know that. And besides, that has to be the ugliest stuffed animal I have ever seen in my life. And what I saw come over that little girl's face, what I saw change from excitement to where her lower lip started to quiver, takes a father's heart when he hears himself replay that. Because she looked at me and she said, Papa, I made that for you. Kids, there are times when you fail big time. There are times when you may fail so incredibly epically that out of a stupid decision you made, people might be injured or killed. That's going to be worn in your heart, and I want you to remember something. I want you to remember that the last point of your graduation from high school reminded you that you were a trophy of your God. And when you want to pull out this club that I'm going to be giving every one of you, and by the way, this one's going to my boy. Yours will be on the table out there. I want you to take a look at that club on your office counter, on on your college shelf, underneath your bed, when you're grown up and you find it in your garage. I want you to remember that I said right here, you matter to God, and it doesn't matter what you're doing to yourself inside. Stop hitting yourself. You are precious to your Father in heaven. You are precious to the man who made you. And I'm going to take you back to the very first video I started this talk with you about. And I want you to see Romney's little dance. And I want you to see how thrilled she was that she made it. And I want you to watch when she hears, in my mind, I can see it clearly, Rachel saying that was the wrong basket. And I want you to see her shoulders come down and go forward. I want you to see her experience the, oh, I'm such an idiot. I want you to see the fact that she turns around weary of the decision she just made, and then she realized something. I watched it happen. Her dad is in the bleachers. And this man who I saw cheering right alongside of me, because it didn't matter. It did not matter. She looked up and they made eye contact, and in that moment I said, that's healing. Because in his eyes there was no shame. There was no embarrassment. There was solid, intense pride. And that little girl squared her shoulders. That little girl squared her shoulders. She picked herself up. She walked right back to that team, who just now was 2 points down. What did that, you kids? What did that? She met the eyes of her Maker biologically. She met his spirit of love. Today I want you to remember 3 points. You will fail, I can guarantee you that. It's what you do with that failure. It's the training that comes from that failure that turns you into the refined human being. And when you are ready to swing with that crazy club, I want you to remember, you matter to God. Stop hitting yourself, because in his eyes, all you see